Who's really in charge? You see, when we judge situations as good or bad, as positive or negative, we give them a charge, a positive or a negative charge. And by doing so, we put them in charge of our reactions and our actions, which really puts them in charge of our life. So, how do we stop this and turn it around? Let's get into it. All right, so judging, and I've mentioned judging a bit. Judging, we should judge people as good or bad, people we want to be around or not. But when it comes to circumstance and events, we really shouldn't judge them as good or bad because, for starters, we know that, with hindsight, we often get a different perspective. And many people often talk about, events in the past that they thought or perceived as bad that it actually turned out to be good in the long run. And this is really the essence of what I'm talking about. So when we view something as positive or negative, we literally give it that charge. So we charge something as negative, and this might be something that's happened in the past, right? An experience we went through, and we charge it as negative. And what that does is that means that for the rest of our life, until we get rid of that charge, every time we come into that situation or a similar situation, that negative judgment of the situation takes charge, becomes in charge. Everything becomes negative. So when you're, surrounded in that situation and you need to act or react, you'll do it in a negative way. And the same with positive. When we perceive things as positive, we give them a positive charge. So when, the same thing. When we're in that situation, we remember them as positive, and so we act positively. And we've all got these in our lives, both positive and negative. And the truth is, they're both not good. Obviously, negative is not good, but even positive, seeing everything as positive can also be, an issue. Basically, if everything's 100% positive or 100% negative, we don't get the lesson. We don't grow from it. We end up in cycles, and that's it, right? We're not spiraling up or down, but we're just going in circles, which ultimately is spiraling down because we're not growing. But this is the thing. So if we judge things as positive and we just take things for granted, again, we're sort of stuck. We're not learning. So the thing is to take the middle path, which is, between, the negative charge. And so positive plus negative equals. And that's it. There's nothing else after that statement because, a positive charge plus a negative charge that equal each other out. They become neutral. They neutralize or equalize each other. So this is how we get rid of the charge, how we get rid of these events that we've, charged as positive or negative. What we do is we find the positive in the negative and the negative in the positive. So literally this, the best way to do this is the pad and paper and just think of an event, and it won't be hard, something that most people have got something in their mind, a memory that they know is controlling their life. We've all got lots of them, but there's normally, one or two major ones. So have a think about that. What is it? What was the event that you keep going back to, and why do you see it? And obviously this is predominantly going to be negative for most people to start with. Why do you perceive it as negative? And then just have a think about, what did that event do? How did it shape you? Did it actually turn out to be a positive? Because, we often just see them as negatives and we don't look for the positive in there. We don't look for the lesson. And so obviously we can't find it. So as an example, just say, and it's a big one. I know a lot of people, were abused to whatever degree, as children. And it may be, from extreme to just, being ignored or being yelled at or, not given the attention that you wanted or deserved. And so if that's the case with you, or, where would the positive be? If you were, oppressed and silenced and you weren't, your parents didn't let you speak up for yourself, did that teach you to speak up for yourself? Did that teach you to be independent? Did that teach you to, to have a backbone and to think for yourself? Because if it did, then that's shaped you, right? That's who you are. So that's a positive. And when we can do this, we can see that everything is actually for us, and nothing's against us. All these things that we perceive as bad, that they may be bad in the present time as an experience, but there's always, we can always find a positive and grow from it. Because really, that's the choice. If you don't, what's the alternative? That's to spiral down. That's the only other alternative. And when we can do this, we can see that life is happening for us. That these people, normally mum and dad, who did things. So for starters, they were just people, right? But in the bigger picture, that what they did turned us into who we are. Okay, and a lot of times, a lot of people deny that in themselves because they keep going over, what the negative is. My dad told me I was nothing and I'd never be anything, but deep inside they know that's given them a spark to want to go out and be something. And so all you need to do is neutralize that and understand that, if it was dad, that he was doing that in the bigger picture to give you the skills to go out and stand up on your own 2 feet and to do, what you need to do and become who you need to become. And that's what this is all about. Getting rid of who's in charge, because this is the thing. If it is, your mum or dad, then they're still in charge of you, right? You're still that 6-year-old kid or 10-year-old kid or whatever it is, until you neutralize that. It's find the good in the bad and the bad in the good. So that's how we, get rid of these dominating thoughts, and habits and reactions that really are in charge of us. We add the positive to the negative and neutralize them, take the middle path. And of course, when we come into these situations in the future, it's a good idea to not charge them. Just don't give them any charge. Just try and accept things just as, right? Things just are. We don't have to charge them. We don't have to judge things as good or bad. We've been told to. We've been told that, every question needs an answer immediately, right? It doesn't. A question is a quest. Some questions never get answered. Some, will be answered in a year. Some you can answer straight away. But it's this whole mentality of we have to, get an answer now. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it right? Is it wrong? It's all judging. But if you can take things as interesting, well, that's interesting. I wonder what will happen, right? I wonder what will happen out of that. Then we're not charging these events. Then we can see the good and the bad in them. We can get the lesson, experience the experience, and go forward and not create more baggage, right? To drag along behind us. So there you go, guys. Take out the person in charge, neutralize them, and start to make your own decisions again and act as the person that you're supposed to be. Start to find the strengths in you that were, given to you by all these perceived negative and positive experiences. Because a lot of positive experiences as well, we know they can turn bad as well. People win the lottery, right? And they think it's a positive experience, and they run around and spend all their money, and a year or two later, they're in more debt than they were when they got the money, and it turns into a negative because they didn't see the negative in the positive. So it works both ways. The middle path is the way to go, in my humble opinion. So I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. Have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.